All right, go ahead and make sure it's all good, and then
Yeah,
you
we're
do your
good.
counting.
All
All
right.
right.
3, 2. Oh, wait. Every show. All right, here we go. Three,
Everyone.
two, one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 2, episode 1 of The Fourth Wall. I'm alongside my podcast partner, BK. BK, this is one we've been trying to get for a long time, and it's finally happening today.
Absolutely, it has, and this is one we have been very excited for. We've been pushing it and pushing and pushing because this is actually one of the things we've been trying to do when we first decided we wanted to do this podcast. We wanted to blend the real life and SL together in the virtual world, and there's no way to do it better. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting here with us in our brand new studio, season 2, episode 1, he has penned 3 books. Game Design Secrets, The Making of Second Life, Notes from the New World, and his most recent one, Making a Metaverse That Matters, From Snow Crash and Second Life to a Virtual World Worth Fighting For. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome author and Second Life user, James Wagner Au. James, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks, you all. Glad to be on here.
Oh, yeah, this is a thrill for us, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to get right into it. We were talking before the show started, and I know I goofed up. It's not James, it's actually. I meant to call you Wagner. I screwed up. I'm excited
Close
about this.
enough.
I really am. Well, because my real life wife is a general manager of a Books of Me, and so me talking to an author is like,
Oh, nice.
I'm glad she's not listening right now because she would be in here just really, really giddy.
Go ahead,
So,
make sure it's all
I
good.
get the whole thing counted. But anyway. So when I first reached out to you and we started talking, one of the things that we talked about was your book, and at the time, the only book that I was aware of was The Making of a Metaverse That Matters.
Right.
So I did the right thing,
Hello,
got your
everybody.
book,
Welcome to
started
season
listening to
2,
it, all started
episode
doing the
1
same thing,
of
and
The
then it
Fourth
dawned on me
Wall.
that there's no
I'm
way that I was going
alongside
to be able
my
to get through all of
podcast.
these. So
Mhm.
what I'd like to do is kind of start at the beginning of everything. That how did Wagner, as a young boy growing up, what
Yeah.
got you interested in anything that related to what is now known as the metaverse? What started
Yeah.
that led into your research that prompted you and inspired you to write the books that you did?
Wow. So yeah, to start at the beginning, and I won't say how long ago that was, but I was, you know, uh, uh, a geeky kid in Hawaii growing up, and my dad's a scientist, so he had a computer, and I do the usual Hawaii boy stuff, go surfing and so on in the daytime, but at night or when it could get dark, would start geeking out on the various early virtual world-ish games. Like one that really jumped out at me was called NetHack from the 90s, which it still exists. It's a really amazing role-playing game that's open source, so hundreds of people work on it, and they make it a more and more realistic virtual world. And I just was kind of blown away about that, and that you could create this and then share it online. And so at the same time, I read Snow Crash, which really, I wasn't the only one reading Snow Crash. Of course, Philip Rosedale and thousands of people who ended up working in tech read that and went, oh, wow, there, you could have this whole virtual world, and that would be as big as like television is now, like where you'd have tens of millions of people sharing the same virtual world. And so, yeah, that's kind of been on my mind as a writer since after college, and I started writing about online games. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started. And then 2003, Philip and his PR team called me over to look at what was the very early version of Second Life, and kind of have never left, because it still is one of the most fascinating stories in technology.
Oh, okay. Well, if you haven't noticed, we get people that they'll put comments and stuff like that as we're talking, and you just got a very big comment on this book that says Snow Crash is a great book. If you haven't experienced it, it's a ride. So apparently,
Oh yeah,
apparently there are a lot of people that are the same mindset as you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I always tell people to read it because you might have seen a few years ago there was a big hype over the metaverse, but most of the people talking about it, including Mark Zuckerberg, it was clear they'd never read Snow Crash, because it describes in really fine detail what it's like, and it's very similar to Second Life, and also similar to Roblox and similar to Fortnite. It's like what Neil Stephenson imagined, all of these developers were actually trying to build, and they've come really close. So yeah, give it a read, because it came out in '92, but it really saw what we're doing now.
Right. So do you think
Okay,
though
so
that with, like you said a few years ago when Zuckerberg put out the Metaverse thing, like no one when he was talking about that, no one was really mentioning anything about Second Life being around. That time was around for almost 20 years. And no one was
Yeah.
really mentioning it. It was all about, oh, this new universe, you can go on there and talk to people and blah, blah, blah. It was like the same thing that we're doing now, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a few people noticed, like this guy at the Atlantic contacted me and we did an interview, because he's like, oh yeah, Second Life was doing this, 20 years ago. And, I don't know if you were in Second Life yet around then, but around 2006 to 2010, the same hype wave. People were going, oh, Second Life is the future of the internet. And we're all going to be in Second Life. And then all these big companies like Honda and Hewlett Packard, they were building like experiences in Second Life. So they had a big push, and it was very eerily similar to what Zuckerberg was talking about.
Wow.
So, okay, so you said that, between 2000 and what you said, 2006 to 2010. Now, with you being in Second Life and basically what you just said, and we're going to get to everything else a little bit later, but with you basically being one of the day ones from there, and you said that you were seeing what things were going. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but within that time span that you're talking about, there was a CSI New York, and there was an episode that involved Second Life.
Yep.
And I think that, in my opinion, even though I was using Second Life at the time, like, a lot of, all of us that are listening right now that are in this chat don't know about anybody that listens to us on YouTube or through your blog, where we were all kind of looking at that going, well, yeah, some of that you can do, but no, some of that you can't do because we don't have the graph, we don't have the physics. And I thought that kind of made Second Life look, I think that kind of gave a blemish to Second Life, because it was like, look at all this stuff that you can do, and it's like, no, you really can't. So it made us look bad. Then a few years ago, a documentary come out called Life 2.0, about a documentary about people that met in Second Life, wanted to be together, didn't work out, and once again, that made it look like Second Life was the villain. How, with everything that you've done and everything that you've looked at and everything that you've experienced, how have you seen where the Second Life that we all know now has able to overcome things like that to show we're not the bad guy?
Well, I mean, that's kind of been the challenge, because that still is the impression for a lot of people. And I get into this in the book. Like, well, the CSI example that you're talking about, that was actually a project that Linden Lab helped develop with a company called the Electric Sheep Company, which is a bunch of Second Life developers. But when Second Life was big, they got big projects, and they got a project with CBS, the TV network, and that's why they put together this episode in Second Life. And then they actually had a game in Second Life that was like CSI Second Life, and so people who watched the episode could jump into Second Life and go solve mysteries in the CSI world that they built. But the problem was, and this is, I go really deep into this in the book, is like, you have tens of millions of people watching the CSI episode, and they go, what the hell is this? Okay, let's check this out. And they try to log into Second Life, and then like literally 99% of them cannot get in because of all of the hurdles. Like, most people don't know how to download an app, for one thing, and then they're not experienced with 3D games. So it's like a huge drop off. But so that's been one problem. The other problem is there's the whole, it's user generated content, so you can make anything, but one challenge is a lot of it's not going to look great to people on the outside, and they're going to look at it and they go, oh, that looks kind of ugly, and they're not realizing it's an amateur user that's making it, and it's cool for them, but it's not going to look on a professional level, so that's kind of, they're prejudiced against it. And then you get the big the kind of the sex thing, like where people will do not just sex, but like just like really weird stuff that most people are not into. And then like that hurt the reputation quite a bit, because people would share screenshots and video of just like really weird. There's this guy who was a he was like a troll, and literally like a 5 foot troll, and he'd walk around and watch people having sex, and then take photos of it,
Wow.
and then share it on Reddit or whatever. And so like
Oh,
that was the impression among gamers was, okay, it doesn't look that great, and also it's a bunch of weirdos who have to have sex online. So yeah, these challenges is kind of most user generated content platforms don't have, because I don't know, they launch better, and they streamline, they have really good content first, and then kind of let people go where they want with it. But yeah, that's sort of been the blessing and curse of Second Life. Is right from the beginning, Linden Lab said, well, you can basically make whatever you want, and that's your content, so do whatever you want. And a lot of it is really good, but a lot of it is not. So
So is that like
that's
basically the freedom of it, like you said, doing whatever you want is also could be detrimental to it too.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally, yeah.
okay. So we were sitting here, and like I said, what I told you earlier, we kind of come up with a few things. And normally we don't do this whole thing where it's just we have questions written down, but because the metaverse is so vast now and you can do so much in it, because you see it advertised on TV, you see it advertised on any social media platforms and what. So when you first got into Second Life, and you're a day oneer, I mean, in all honesty, you basically, we might as well go ahead and call you Moses, is what we should. But anyway,
Not that old.
well, for Second Life, you've been in there.
Yeah.
You've been in there for
Yeah.
what, 22 years, and every year in
Yeah.
Second Life is like 3 real life years or something like that.
Oh, and to clarify, I work for Linden Lab. I don't know if I mentioned that.
No, you didn't.
No,
I was so yeah, I was a reporter, a freelance writer, and then Philip was showing it to me, and then I was saying, this is so cool. What if I work for you all? And they said, yeah, why don't you go? Because it was still in beta at the time, and I said, yeah, why don't I go in the world and I'll write about what people are building, and I'll write a blog about it. So we made a decision. I'll be the embedded journalist in Second Life. So yeah, they hired me as a contractor to go in, and so I started writing a blog. Well, that was New World Notes. It was on Second Life's website at the time for the first 3 years. But yeah, that's how I got started. So that's how I met like the very early beta users, and I always feel like I'm part of the community, though I'm a reporter, so I'm kind of a little bit to the side of everybody, but I try to see the big picture and try to advocate for the community and the culture. But yeah, that's part of how the hype began. Is I would not really me per se, but just I'd come across amazing stories that I'd write about on the blog. One of the very first people I met, she was this cool avatar named Catherine Omega, and she built this beautiful mansion by the sea with a monorail, and it's just really cool looking. And she was this cool cyberpunk character. She looked like her avatar looked like she was from the Matrix. And then she kind of casually mentioned that she was homeless in real life. She was squatting in an abandoned apartment building in Vancouver. And because she's really technically proficient, she was able to hook her laptop up to a coffee can to get Wi-Fi, and use an exposed power line to get the power. And like her neighbors are literally crackheads. And so she's surrounded, and she's hearing all these horrible things through the walls, and she's escaping into this better world. And because of her talent as a scripter, she started to get real life jobs because of her work in Second Life. And that's one of the first people I met and blogged about in 2006. But yeah, like news media started picking up stories like that, and they kind of kept falling into my lap. It's just there was so much amazing things happening, and still happening to a certain extent. But back in the early time, definitely was just this kind of crazy wellspring activity, and really impressive people from all over the world trying to make something incredible.
Yeah, I seen a video. It was probably a while ago. I didn't know Second Life exists till around COVID, and I joined because of the wrestling.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing a video. I guess it was on maybe 2020 or something, where people were actually, because of the money they were making in Second Life, selling property, selling land and everything, they quit their real life jobs and we're making a
Yeah.
living just on selling, land here and different types of houses and stuff like that, which is pretty amazing.
Fashion is huge. Yeah.
But yeah, and then what was it? The first person that actually became a real life millionaire. What's her name?
Oh yeah.
uh,
Chung.
Chung.
Oh yeah, Chung.
Chung.
Chung. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you hear stuff like that, it's like you looking like nobody thought that anything like that would ever be possible.
Yeah.
You
Now that's kind of normal.
Well, it is now, but it wasn't then, right?
Yeah, then it was sort of she ended up on the cover of Business Week because it was just sort of no one's ever heard of this, and there's been many others beyond her. Like, it's interesting. She was real estate baron, so it was like she was a millionaire in terms of virtual land, but then other people have come after her to be creators, like fashion brands. Like one I write about in the book, her name's Gizem Mishi. She launched the blueberry brand in Second Life, and within a few years she was a multimillionaire selling virtual fashion, and she started as a college kid in Turkey.
That's amazing.
It really truly is, because people, when the internet first was born and whatnot, people were just interested in being able to just send quick information back and forth, like, hey, I don't want to wait on the mail. And now you have people that make great livings because of the internet.
Oh yeah. You've probably seen it with Roblox, which actually launched around the same time as Second Life. There's a bunch of teenagers that are they're still teenagers, but like one of them made a game called Grow a Garden, and it makes more money than most professional games. It's like they told me, an insider told me they're making like net $5 million a month.
Wow, jeez.
It's some teenage kid who made it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't mention Roblox. I just got done spending money on my kid to buy some race car. Roblox. It just happened like 2 days ago. It happened like 2 days ago. Okay. So now we're back to we're going here and we're talking about your books. Now, your first book says game design secrets. So
that was my second one, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, you had that one. So you have
Making a Second Life came out in 2008.
Okay, so you had Make It a Second Life, and then in between that, you have Game Design Secrets.
Right.
Did your Game Design Secrets book get inspired from what you were writing about in Second Life, or was that something totally off and that just happened to hit you?
A little bit. Definitely the idea that people on the grassroots could build an interactive experience and turn that into their living. Though the game design one, that's more focused on smartphone games and Facebook games, which were big at the time, and web-based games. So there's a lot of design principles that still hold true. But I was really kind of focused on those, and so more of a technical book. But I was writing that at the same time, still blogging. My blog, New World Notes, I've been running since 2006 on my own.
Okay.
So I try to integrate it. Like, I do a lot of Second Life stuff, and then I do a lot of other game worlds, and try to keep a balance so people kind of see the big picture of what's going on in the world in virtual worlds.
So since we're on games, I've been reading a lot of Grand Theft Auto, the game coming out, and they said that's going to change a lot with as far as multiplayer with people. Like, it's going to be a lot, like, really groundbreaking as far as what they're saying. I mean, really setting the bar high on that. Like, what are your thoughts on that? With what that's
well, what's interesting to me is Grand Theft Auto 5 came out quite a while ago, over 5 years ago, but it stayed running because they have the online component, and then also there's mods to it. So people created a mod server that's actually bigger than the official game. What's it? I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's a modified Grand Theft Auto online.
Yeah, I see that.
And so cops,
and you could be in a gang. You can, it's a role play.
Exactly. Yeah, like millions of people play it. And so, because the traditional game industry, they don't know what to make of what we call UGC, the user-generated content. So I think it kind of took Rockstar by surprise that people would love to just keep playing as long as they can modify the content. So what's interesting, Grand Theft Auto 6, there's rumors they're talking to people who make games in Fortnite and Roblox and are figuring out how to add that kind of metaverse aspect. In other words, UGC in Grand Theft Auto 6, so they can keep adding content. So they're thinking along the lines of what Second Life was doing 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So we'll probably see something like that when they finally launch. Like it'll be a big virtual world that'll be set in the world of Grand Theft Auto, but there'll be more ways for people to build their own content and their own experiences.
that's pretty
And
cool.
that's really cool.
It's been, I think,
Yeah.
GTA came out. I mean, it's still popular. It came out 13 or
Yeah.
12 years ago, I think. It was like almost over 10 years ago.
GTA 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah, to look back. Yeah. But I was like, people don't realize that. Like, if you get a really thriving virtual world, it stays running forever. Like, there's virtual worlds that have been around since the 90s. Like, there's one called Active Worlds. It's still running.
Wow.
As long as you got a community in it.
Okay.
Good.
You guys on Bob?
No. Go ahead. That's why I was paused. Wait, I knew you had something.
Oh, okay. Anyway, okay. So 2003, you get into Second Life day one, and then you're moving through, and you're still in there today, and you've seen everything that's come through with people you've talked to, your own experiences, listen, and just things that you've watched. In your opinion, from what you witnessed the day that you first created your avatar up until you're sitting right here in front of us or in front of our avatars today, what do you feel has been the biggest change for the better for not just Second Life, but for the metaverse?
That's a good question. Biggest change for the better. Damn.
There's my tough question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. If you haven't noticed, if you listen to any of our episodes, there's always one question. It's always the same question to the wrestling people, and all of them go like, yeah, that's a hard one. So I got you on that one.
Well, I definitely one of the biggest changes for the better, and also anytime something's good, there's going to be downsides. Is when Second Life launched, the Linden dollar was just an internal currency. You couldn't do anything with it, but some people started selling it for real US dollars really early on. And then Linden Lab got in the game, and so they made it official that you could turn your Linden dollars into US dollars. And that's actually, I think Second Life is the first one to do that. And that's one of the things that Neil Stephenson talks about in Snow Crashes. The virtual currency will be meaningful in the real world, that you can actually make a living in the real world. So, like 2004, 2005, Linden Lab got in the Linden dollar to US dollar exchange game. And that's what really got the economy roaring, where people are like, oh, I could build a business in here. So that's definitely been hugely innovative. There's downsides, of course, like with anything, if there's money involved, it changes the social dynamics. And so that's been a challenge. But, overall, on balance, I think it's been, really innovative. And yeah, that really has created the innovations and the, successive virtual worlds that have come in, because they know, if you make it possible people to create content and they can make a living, you're going to have an endless experience, an endless virtual world, because people are always going to be adding new content to it. So that's incredibly innovative.
Okay. And has it been anything that let's see, what would be the best that was introduced that you thought should have been given a better chance before everybody just said, no, that's not going to work? Basically one of those diamonds in the rough that everybody just kind of overlooked.
Well, sort of related. I talk about this in the book. I thought the way they put mesh out was a huge mistake, and they could have. They released it too soon, and they made it so that you could upload mesh into Second Life, and that's really kind of distorted the economy and the culture in good ways and bad ways. But it's like it's why the economy is so focused on virtual fashion. So I guess if you say what they should have gave a more of a look, is they should have focused more on, and everyone should have gave this a chance, more on diverse avatars, not just human avatars. Like it used to be, well, this is more pre-mesh. You could make your avatar anything. Like you'd have giant robots, and giant mechs, or a lot of the furries, of course, and really cool avatars that were not human avatars, and they should have kept that more of the focus. If you go on the Second Life website now, or you look at Second Life like on Flickr and stuff, it's like 99% human avatars. They all look like fashion models, and that's because of the ultra realistic mesh enhancements. Like, because that's in the market, people start feeling pressure to make their avatar look really pretty. If you look at my avatar, I haven't updated it since 2012, and part of it is I just kind of got angry at the. I think that's too materialistic and kind of too focused on, let's look as pretty as possible as we would in the real world. It's called the anthropologist Nick Yee called this the Malibu experience, or the Malibu phenomenon. Is if you make it possible to make avatars look like really attractive humans, then everyone feels like they have to look like a really attractive human, and then you feel like you have to have a really cool car and a really cool house, like by the beach, and that's not how Second Life started. And a big part of that is Linden Lab kind of let the users run away with making avatars mostly human by default. And if they kept the focus on, no, you can be anything, like really, literally anything. You could be a giant walking stick. That would have been better, and I wish they had considered that more.
It's funny you say that, because he's actually in the chat listening. His name's Toastifer. He's actually a toaster. And
way!
He
Cool.
does commentary for one of our sponsors, LPW, and he's one of my favorite commentators. But he's actually a toaster. And when I first seen it, I remember
shout out to the toaster.
I said, when he came out, and I'm like, I can't see, like, because like we have a commentate in wrestling, we have commentators, we have wrestlers and everything. So he's talking, and I'm like, who the hell is talking? I don't see his talking. I'm like, there's a toaster there, and I'm like, that's a goddamn toaster.
I got to see a video of that.
Yeah, he's great.
That's hilarious as shit.
He's great.
Oh yeah, it really is. It is completely great. Because I mean, that's the great thing about Second Life. You can come in, like I said before. It's to me, Second Life. No matter what you do, you're still role playing, even if you had the experience. Like for instance, you are a author in real life, but you can come in here into Second Life. You're still writing, but it's like you have to do it two different ways. You have to look at it out here as, look, I'm doing this to bring everybody's attention to the metaverse, and then when you're in here, it's like, okay, I got to bring attention to this particular thing. And to me, Second Life is just one great big role play, and it's a lot of fun. You're talking about, you're talking about the furries. There's one of the wrestlers, I forget what his name is. He's something like a 12-foot centaur. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's completely great. Yeah, that's right.
Really
that's
cool.
right. That's right. Yeah, Toastfree. Yeah, hats off to you, Toastfree. Good guy.
Toastifer. Shout out.
Yeah,
I used to role play as a reporter. Like, this sort of looks like me in real life. I wear a suit. There's a famous American journalist named Tom Wolfe, so it's kind of a credit to him. But my avatar used to look like Hunter S. Thompson, the famous new journalist. Like, he was a wild man. He was he took a lot of drugs. He's a big bald guy. He had guns, and he'd shoot a lot. And so I'd wander around Second Life looking like Hunter S. Thompson with a big cigar sticking out my mouth and a whiskey bottle in one hand and a 45 in the other. And so I'd interview people and I'd say, "What the fuck are you all doing here? What is this wild shit?" I do interviews like a wild man. I kind of miss that. I thought of bringing that back. So it's like I'm role playing as a different type of reporter. So
you know what? That would be a great storyline to put him in. Bring him into that character and have him just walk out and just start talking to the commentators. Who the hell are you? You don't know how to sit down and start telling them how to do their job.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun. That really, really would.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going back and doing that.
Okay, so now some of the stuff that I know, like I said, I was honest with you that I didn't finish the book, but I do know that there's a lot of things that you touched on, and some of the stuff that you touched on was blockchain and crypto.
Oh yeah.
And just out of complete curiosity with all that, do you actually think that they can help virtual worlds, or do you think that they actually are detrimental? Do they hurt them?
So far, it's all been detrimental. I mean, I try to keep an open mind, but there's been multiple virtual worlds with crypto that have tried to gain traction. But like I mentioned in the book, it's really, if you make the primary motivation to go in the virtual world to make money, to make a big score, it changes the whole dynamic. It's then people are not going in to socialize and meet people and create content and be creative. It's like you're all hanging out. Well, one guy who looked into one of the big ones is Decentraland, and he said it. He's been following it for a while. And he went in. It's mostly people playing poker, and he says like it's like a American ghost town that it's by the side of the road, and they thought their city was going to be big, but it's not. So they're mostly just drinking and playing poker, and it's kind of like that. Like with all of them, either there's no users or there's people who are hanging out waiting for it to get big and to make a profit. So that's been a challenge. Yeah, like I follow some that are interesting. It's like I said, we're keeping an open eye, but I think that profit motive really kind of messes things up. Like with Second Life, you could follow the profit motive. You could do it to make money, but most people here to just have fun. They want to go in and wrestle, and
Yeah, I think if you come in here and your goal is to make money, it's going to be very stressful, and you're not going to.
Yeah.
The true element of it is to have fun, meet new people, do new things, and if you're coming here for this, like I'm going to make money, and I think that could take a lot of the element of what it is really about away.
Well, let me ask you: have you done wrestling matches where there's like a $1,000,000 prize at the end?
No. Well, I mean, so how Premier Wrestling works, and they're one of the only few in SL to do this, is we get contracts. So we get contracts where it's like per season, you get exclusive contract or open-ended contract, meaning like if I get an exclusive contract, I'm only allowed to wrestle in Premier. But if I have an open contract, I could go to other promotions, I could wrestle there, and we get like a salary at the end of the week, or every time, or not. I shouldn't say the end of the week, but per show. So if you do 2 shows, you'll get paid for each of them shows. So we do kind of like, it's kind of guaranteed, and it's up to you to take them. If you don't take it, you don't take it. It's up to you whether you take it or not. But yeah, like I wouldn't say it's a cash prize doing it, but if you show up, no matter what you're doing, if you're refereeing, if you're wrestling, or if you're playing a commentator, even if you're doing the editing, the videos, the entrances, you get paid for that.
Okay.
So that's, a lot of times that people come into that, they see that, oh, I can make some $1,000,000, and how hard is this wrestling stuff? And then they come in, and it's, it's pretty hard. And it's like, all right, well, it ain't worth making that to do this. I could go be a DJ and make a lot more money in a night,
Right. And it's, it's like anything where people turn their hobby into a job. There's going to be a hurdle where you're like, oh, damn, I'm not just doing this for fun. I'm doing it to make money. And like, do I still enjoy it? And, I have that with my writing. Like I write about games. I love games and virtual worlds, but it's like, I'm also getting paid for it, and writing a book, getting paid for the book. But it's like, so sometimes I'm less motivated than others, but as professionals, you have to keep focused on it. But it's really, like the challenge in life. If you want to do work that you love, but at the same time, it is work. So, there's that dynamic, but
a lot of like with the wrestling is, with like, if you're doing a role play or even, whatever, like, the thing with wrestling, there's a lot that goes in with it. Like you have to prepare, like we write story, like me and BK are story writers, like we write stories for things, so
that's cool.
It's taking time away from like, doing stuff that you would normally do, because again, it is a hobby. And then brainstorming of writing a storyline. How could we do this? How could we finish this? What could be cool? What could we do that somebody's never seen before? What could we say that somebody's never heard before? So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. And I mean, BK will tell you there's been times where I'm at work and I'm like, oh man, I got this great idea, and I like write it down, and I'm at work and I'm sending him.
Send me text messages. Send me text messages. What do you think about this? I'm like, dude, I'm at work, and he'd be like, so am I. That it hit me in the head.
So it's just like, like I said to you earlier, it's for the wrestling end of it, just like anything else. I'm probably sure in SL, it's a labor of love. You really have to love it to want to do it.
How do you all explain what you do when people ask in real life?
Okay, actually, you saying that actually was bringing me into what I was going to ask you, so we could actually answer these questions together. Now, okay, so when I first got into SL, and this has been documented before, and I'm dating myself, so please, Wagner, don't judge me on this, okay? I was brought into SL when MySpace was around. And in
Oh, no way.
MySpace, you're right. And on MySpace, they had those games that you played, and one of them was called Mafia Wars. And there was this
Oh,
one
yeah.
person that would keep attacking my mafia, and I would keep decimating them. So finally, they sent me this message like, "Okay, I'm tired of you beating my ass." And then we just kind of started talking, and I'm like, this and that. And then it was a female, and she was the one that told me about Second Life. She
Oh, no
brought
kidding.
she brought me into Second Life because she had been there, I don't know, a couple months before she brought me in. But when my character, or when my Abby was brought into Second Life, I was brought in to be a blood doll.
A blood doll?
Okay.
You got 'em.
So you don't know about the whole vampire and lichen community in SL?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
bloodlines.
know. Yeah. I know. I wrote about that one. That was huge for a while.
Yeah, well, I was brought in to be a blood doll, and the blood doll is the one, that when the vampires, unless you bought that forever amulet that protected you from being drained of your blood supply or your lumen supply for the wolves, they would hit you or bite you or whatever, and you would basically give them life, and then you have to go and replenish your humanity with apples by eating apples. Seriously. And that's how I was. That's how I was brought into. That's how I found out about SL.
phase.
Yeah, you missed that by a few years because that was in 09. Yeah, you missed that by a few years. But that's how I was brought into Second Life.
Oh, okay.
Paul was brought in totally on accident because of wrestling.
Yeah, I was watching a YouTube video one night, and it was actually I was playing a wrestling game, and I was having struggling with it, so I went on YouTube and watched some videos on how to make it better, or how to do what I was doing wrong, and I wasn't paying attention. I was on a wrestling game, and it came up to like at the end of YouTube when it has like suggestions. I seen this Premier Wrestling thing there, and I'm like, the hell's that? And I clicked it, and I didn't even know really Second Life existed. I didn't know it existed or anything. I'm looking online like Premier Wrestling. Like, is this a new wrestling game that I didn't hear of? People were talking. I didn't understand it. I really looked into it. I found out about it. I logged in. I was completely a noob. I filled out the application, become a wrestler. I talked to the owner, which his name's Vince Antermath, and I got hired right away because he liked the way I talked and liked my voice and thought I'd be good on commentary. And that's how I started. And I started just strictly for wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then to finish off what you were asking, the woman that I was with, she knew I was in there, and it was one of those things she did, like I was saying earlier about, she went online and everything she was reading was, Second Life is very seedy, it's very distasteful, it's this and that. And I'm like, that's not, I said, if you think about it, I said, we live on one side of this town, and on the other side of town, you got the crack den. It's just like anything else. This is what I'm doing. So for a while, I didn't tell anybody that I was in SL. Not that I was personally ashamed. I just didn't want to hear any crap about it.
Right.
And so I hid it for a while. And then finally, I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. Who knows? It's my life. It's my choice. So quit hiding it. But you have a lot of people that that are closet SLers that never tell anybody anything. And it's like, why don't you just tell them, you're playing a video game. That's Jesus Christ. I'm never too old for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as the wrestling end, like when we describe the wrestling, it's just basically, hey, you ever watch WWE? It's just like that. We do the same things. It's just we're doing it behind a computer screen, Same frustration, same drama. I mean, like, there's a lot of times in wrestling, there's more drama going on behind the scenes than what we're presenting on the scene, on the show. You have people who don't want to lose matches. You have people who just want belts. You have people who don't like this person, and I don't want to work with this person. I don't want to work with that person. And so you're dealing with a lot of real life situations. Like if you listen to wrestling podcasts and some of the things that they talk about, some of their struggles or some of the problems that people had, it was kind of the same stuff that we go through. And it's awesome. Like I'm in my late 40s. I never was a wrestler. But then doing this, it's like gives you a chance. Like, it's kind of like living a dream in a way and doing it in a different way, but like doing something I always wanted to do,
Cool.
So now that you know how we got into SL and we know how you were, now the question to you is how long did it take you to tell people, yeah, I'm in SL. I don't care if you know or not. This is what you can like it or you can know that's your problem. So how long did it take you to just finally say screw it?
Well, just like in a professional context, because I think Wired wrote the article like the second month after I started. So, this guy named Wagner James Au is an embedded journalist in Second Life. That was right when the U.S. went into Iraq. So it was like, about those embedded journalists in Iraq? Well, this guy is embedded in a virtual world. So I started getting news reports coming out pretty quickly. And then I lived in San Francisco at the time. So, it was a tech hub. So Second Life was cool. I still think it's cool, but in the first 5 years, people were like, "Oh wow, I keep hearing about it. Tell me more." So it was kind of at that point where you'd go to parties and stuff, and people would go, "Oh yeah, I heard about this thing. Tell me about it." Or like people at Trader Joe's would go, "Oh, you're that Avatar guy, right?" And so yeah, that's
Avatar guy.
yeah. Like this girl approached me on the subway. It's like, "Wait, are you Hamlet Au guy?" Like, it was kind of wild. Like, there was a celebrity, like, of course Philip was the big celebrity, because he was on TV everywhere. But yeah, it had that glow up until around 2010, and then that's actually when the backlash happened. Is people then it would get weird. Like it went from, "Oh, you're in that cool thing, tell me more," to, "Wait, you're still in that thing? What happened to it? I thought it died." And so for like almost 10 years, that was kind of the thing. I'd have to get into, no, it's still quite big. It's actually profitable as a company, and the user base is actually about the same as it was. So it's not, there's less news stories about it, but it's still big in terms of users. So I'd have to kind of defend it. And then, then the COVID happened, and then we had kind of a reconsideration of it, because like, oh wow, that's that Second Life thing, and that's still big. And people, we had a fair amount of you kind of came back into Second Life just because we're all stuck in our houses, so they needed a social space. So yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows, and now it's sort of it's been around so long now, it's sort of the OG virtual world. And so people go, "Oh yeah," like it'll be partly, "Oh, I didn't know it's still going," but also I do know it's very influential, and so that's really cool. So that's kind of where we're at now, it feels like.
So I have a question for you, as far as like, so
Yeah.
in SL, there's harassment, there's bullying and everything. Like, what are your opinions on how they could keep that safer, like in virtual worlds? Like, how can they keep bullying safe? Like, what can they do to make, the virtual spaces safer?
Yeah, well, one I get into, this is around the interoperability question, is there are real, like, bad, like, horrible abusers, and you could put them on a blacklist. So because what'll happen is they'll create an account, and then they'll get reported on until they finally get kicked out, and they'll just make another avatar and they'll start the same thing.
Yeah.
So you want a blacklist, or they'll go to another world and do the same stuff. They'll just go to VRChat or whatever. So you want companies to share a blacklist. Okay, these are the real, like, crazy assholes, and let's just all agree not to let them in. So that should be one thing. The other thing, and again, I mentioned about having human avatars. I think if you had choices that you don't have to be a human avatar, it's easier to be like a floating robot or a sphere or something to start. Because once you have a human avatar, people feel like they have to act like a human, to the point where there's a study about this, where people start having the same body, personal space and eye contact. You know how we, like, men don't stand too close to each other, and we don't make a lot of eye contact if we're talking to each other.
Right.
People start doing that in with their avatars. So that's how deeply connected we feel with avatars. But the downside, okay, if you got a woman who creates a female avatar, people are gonna start dry humping her, like, immediately. Yeah, so it's like, so you probably want to give people space so they don't have to commit to being a human because of all these issues. They got to learn how to learn the tools. So, because people they don't know how to block people. So they got people up in their face, and I write about that. Meta, like, they had this problem immediately when they launched Horizon Worlds, their own virtual world. And like, it's a female reporter comes in, and she's got instantly like 5 teenage boys dry humping her with their avatars. And, she's just like panicking. Yeah, she felt, it feels assaulted.
Yeah, of course.
what was funny is this guy named Jim Perbrook, he used to work at Linden Lab. He was one of the early Second Life developers. He went to Meta and he was telling them this. He was warning Meta's like, you got to put safety boundaries immediately because this shit's gonna happen immediately. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. No, we're fine. And the shit like they didn't listen to him, and so immediately they get this huge black eye because they get these reporters getting attacked immediately. So like we got these companies, these big companies, they're relearning lessons that Second Life learned 20 years ago.
Yeah, one of the things, when somebody new prospect comes into the wrestling world, they go through a trainer. One of our trainers who trains for Premier Wrestling, the first thing he tells them, whether they're a male avatar or woman avatar, no matter what they tell them, the first thing he tells them is, this is not a dating service. This is here for like you want to perform a show. This is here if you want to, if you want to learn how to do this. This is not here to you to meet and try to, have a thing or fling with any of the female or male workers here. Like that's the first thing they say to everybody. So, because like we've had people that come in and they go through the training, next thing you know, they're partnered up with this person and they're messing with this person, which causes. I mean, it causes the backstage drama is I ain't working with him because he stole my girlfriend or she stole my boyfriend.
Oh damn!
You're dealing with that.
Make that part of the show.
Yeah. So
it's great. Sometimes it's really really funny. It really.
That's happened. I mean,
I know that it's one of those things that sometimes the backstage stuff is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting than the stuff that written down that everybody.
Oh yeah. Gotta put that on the back channel.
So we have a viewer question if you want to answer that.
Oh, cool. Oh, sure.
So this is from.
All right. Hold on a second. We got to pay some bills really quick. If you haven't, sorry about that. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to try to help us get our show out and to show that we are trying to bring RL and SL together. But you are listening to us on the fourth. But you are listening to The Fourth Wall with Paul and BK on Darkstar Radio at darkstarradio.com. Aaron's Domain, Limitless Pro Wrestling, also known as LPW, and Premier Wrestling. And if you are just joining us, regardless if it is on YouTube, if you're just popping into the channel, or if you are listening on the blog of NWN, we are sitting down today with Wagner James Au, and I'm not going to lie to everybody because I told him that before. I actually thought that the AU stood. I thought his name was James Wagner. He was saying he was from Australia. I was trying to be respectful. So I found that his last name actually is Au, like Ow, I hurt myself, and that's how he did it. But we do have some questions. However,
hit me.
However, there, Wagner, I know that you're a very busy. I really don't realize you're a very busy man. But when you popped into our Discord channel, there is somebody in the wrestling community that has read your books and has been following your work for many, many years. And that person is actually in the chat with us today. And I promised them because they wanted to ask you the first question. So Mo, mic up and ask Wagner what your question is. And I will say this right now. Here we have no filters, so don't be surprised at anything that gets asked. So we do not screen these. We do not screen these.
All right.
So Mo, it's all yours.
Cool.
Thank you guys for the opportunity, and Hamlet, it's great to have this interaction. As
you too.
Thank you. I read The Making of Second Life when I first joined SL many years ago.
Awesome.
And I'm looking forward to catching up. You extended my reading list for the summer today. So
sweet.
Since then, obviously, we've seen a lot of changes, since 2008 when that book first came out, and some of them were touched on today. And I don't want it to be a gloomy question, but as was mentioned, you've seen places like Facebook, now Meta, coming into the fray, and more big conglomerate type companies coming into the mix, and to varying degrees of success. So my question is, how does Linden Labs compete with these bigger conglomerates in terms of resources? Like Linden Labs obviously doesn't have the same level of resources of a place like Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. So how does what kind of keeps it viable when you're up against that level of competition?
Right. What was interesting is Second Life is larger than Meta's virtual world, Horizon Worlds. Horizon Worlds only has there was a Wall Street Journal report, only 200,000 active users. And Second Life has about 500,000. So it's twice as big as Meta. And Meta, they put a freaking on a Super Bowl. They put an ad for Horizon Worlds on the Super Bowl, and they still cannot get more users than Second Life. So Second Life's kicking their ass on a certain level. So just in terms of users, like the ones that we're losing out to or are bigger, like VRChat has about 12 million users, and then there's one called Rec Room, and then the really big ones, Fortnite and Roblox. So the Roblox is like 354 million monthly active users, which is crazy because that's larger than the entire U.S.
And my 10-year-old, and my 10-year-old,
mostly kids all over the place. Yeah,
yeah, my 10-year-old's one of them.
Yeah, and so the challenge is, because we can't really compete directly with Roblox because we don't. It's tough to have teenagers in. That was tried, but that didn't really work. But I talk about this a lot in the book. Is I think Second Life's got to lean into the game aspect, at least sort of a meta game, because most of the people who tried Second Life, they go in and they go, "What the hell do I do? What's the goal of this game?" And then for a long time, Linden Lab, well, even now they say, "Well, we're not really a game," and then you're just confusing people because it looks like a game, it plays like a game, so it's like you can't tell people, okay, well, there's no rules, there's no goals, just do whatever you want. It's like most people in their real lives don't know what they want to be in real life, so like you can't just say, well, just do whatever. Like, give people goals, like some quests they can go on, like say, hey, go to 20 Sims and take photos of Sims, and then you get a reward, like maybe you get a cool prize, like a pet or something that's in the game world itself. Like we were saying, you probably don't want to pay them Linden dollars because then it just makes it less fun. But that kind of game experience is really, if Linden Lab added that, I really think you could grow Second Life by many millions of users. Part of the problem is Philip really is very resistant to making Second Life a game. And in fact, I asked him in the book, it's like, well, if you could add game features and get as big as Roblox, would you do it? And he's like, oh, I just wouldn't be as interested. And I'm like, dude, why don't we get a lot of users first, and then we can worry about whether Second Life's a game or not. Like, how are we going to have real life use cases of it, like people using it for business and so on, if there's not many users in it? Because you got Roblox is used by a lot of people for like an educational context, VRChat. I've seen a lot of projects like robotics projects and things like that. And you need that like large user base of people doing all kinds of things to really start seeing kind of sustained growth. And so that's been the big challenge. And so they are starting to add some features like the mobile version has some game-like features. It's sort of more of a, if you log in again, you get Linden dollars. So, I really think they could add more. And I'm going to be talking with them next interview I do with them. It's like, dude, I haven't reported this yet, but I've seen some data like we're starting to lose users. There's like a slow downward decline. So I'm like, dude, you got to go do some Hail Mary passes here.
Right.
Get more great.
Go ahead.
Get more aggressive with adding these. But yeah, go ahead.
I want to follow up. What do you think, real quick, BK? What do you think the reason why the metaverse isn't like they put a Super Bowl commercial? I mean, them Super Bowl commercials are what? I don't even remember what the price was, but it's millions and millions of dollars.
Millions, yeah.
They're like $5.5 million for 30 seconds or something.
Why do you think that people are not going that route? Like, why do you think, hey, let me check this out? Like, why don't you think that's happening?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the people who are already into. They don't call it a metaverse, but like Fortnite, Roblox, like I said, Rec Room, they all fit I define it at the beginning of the book, and it fits what Neil Stephenson was talking about in Snow Crash, which is it's a vast virtual world accessible by millions of people at the same time. There's user content creation tools, customizable avatars. It's integrated with the real world economy. That's the basic definition of metaverse. And there's like 700 million plus people using a platform on a regular basis that fits that rough definition. The problem was Meta was trying to reinvent the concept and just basically say, well, we're making the metaverse. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And Zuckerberg would not listen to the experts who actually do know what the fuck they're doing. I don't think I even mentioned this. The co-founder of Second Life, Corey Andraka, he joined Meta when it was still Facebook. I put this on the book, and he got Zuckerberg to buy Oculus, the VR headset.
Yeah.
And so, but he left shortly after that in 2014. But Zuckerberg and his other VPs kept pushing on it, and they got the idea of building the metaverse. But they were more focused on I don't know if you read this book, Ready Player One.
Yeah.
As kind of a reference.
And the movie. Yeah. And the movie.
Yeah. It's a pretty good movie. It was more too much of a gamey game kind of thing, but they so they had this sort of rough idea. They sort of wanted like Ready Player One, but then Zuckerberg and them sort of made it. He wanted kind of more of a 3D Facebook, so they were kind of moving with these ideas that have been done before or tried in Second Life, but Corey wasn't there, and like I said, Jim Herbrook and some other Linden Lab folks were there, but they weren't being listened to. It was kind of Zuckerberg and Andrew Bosworth, the CTO, and they kind of didn't give a fuck. They wanted users, and they thought, well, we'll just do what we did in Facebook, and we'll use some viral growth mechanics, and they couldn't get users. Like I said, even with a Super Bowl ad, it just because you can really.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going
to say.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, really, metaverse platforms mainly appeal to people who are gamers. Like that's going to be 90% of your audience. So it's people who are already familiar with Roblox and Fortnite and all of those. People who are on Steam, and that's about 1/4 of the population. Like if you look at who plays immersive 3D games, it's about 1 in 4 people. But most people are not. They did the Super Bowl ad, and it's like people are wearing VR headset. VR is an even smaller user base, and like I talk in the book, it makes a lot of women like literally puke. So it's already problematic. So yeah, they did everything wrong to try to interest people in the metaverse.
Yeah, I had the Oculus, and I made me puke. I had to send it back.
A lot of men too.
Well, I was going to say, wasn't it, to me, one of the issues with them trying to do the metaverse the way that they did was, like you said, they had to buy, what was it, $500 worth of equipment? And it's like, why do I want to spend $500 to do that when I can sit down at my computer and pretty much do the same thing? And I don't have to worry about carrying equipment. I don't have to worry about the equipment messing up. So I kind of, me personally, because I'm not as immersed in it as you are, I think it was because everybody looked at it like all he's trying to do is make more money. He's already a gazillionaire and he's just wanting to make more money off of it. So nobody had interest in it because it was monetary. In everybody's opinion, it was monetary based.
Yeah.
It wasn't, let's combine, let's bring everybody together. Give me more money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, at that point, Facebook already had a bad reputation. They'd cause a lot of controversy all over the world. So it sucks because if you talk to people about the metaverse now, like in the tech world, they go, I thought that was dead. I thought AI is the big thing. And, there are more users in Roblox that use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So it's, it's still very large. It's just, I guess it's human nature. If it's not new and it's not what people are talking about in the news, people just kind of assume it's dead, as opposed to, no, it's working. It's doing what it's doing. It's just, you might not be interested personally, but it is still really large.
Okay. Now, Paul, you said that before we let Mo ask that question that got us started there, you said you had a question. So
yeah, well,
you forgot, really?
I forgot about Mo. That you told Mo he can answer first, so I forgot about that.
Yeah, go ahead. What's yours?
So here's a question from one of our listeners, Mad Mike, and he says, "Are you sad that the VR/SL 2.0 project did not take off?"
Well, I tried it, and the graphics of Second Life, at least at that point, were not good enough for a good VR experience. It's like I tried it and it felt like you're underwater. Like it felt like all of Second Life is underwater. It was all kind of blurry and kind of in slow motion. And also, interesting thing about Second Life is most avatars are like 8 feet tall, because you can make your avatar up to, I think, about 9 feet tall. And because of that, the building, like even the building we're in now, they're all kind of disproportionate. It's like we're all NBA players, like we're all 8 feet tall or higher, and so
Right.
when you put a VR headset on, like everything looks kind of out of proportion, and it's confusing. So it really they would have to build a whole new experience to make a VR effective. Yeah, people still use some people still use it because it's you can download the client, but yeah, it wasn't a good fit at the time.
All right, he has a follow-up question. If you could overhaul one thing about SL to make it better, what would you do?
Well, I mentioned the whole game, like just on a design level, have like some kind of game structure. It doesn't have to be a huge game like a leveling or like I mentioned VRChat is really huge. They have it's a karmic level where you can't do everything. You can't build worlds yet or other things until you prove that you've been in there like as a trusted user. And so there's like a levels of trustworthiness. And so it encourages you to go into VRChat more, and it encourages you to meet people. And that's kind of a game, but the game is to prove you're not an asshole, basically.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I think Second Life could do something like that. So that's something to just really bring in new users and kind of encourage them to stay. So that's one thing. Another thing they could do, I think they really need to hire a game designer and totally change the user interface because it's totally confusing, and create a very simple interface for new users, and then launch that with a meta game structure, and then put it on Steam for God's sake. Like I mentioned that in the book. Gizem, the millionaire fashion creator, she asked the last CEO, was like, well, how come we're not on Steam? Steam is huge. And it was Ebbe, I don't remember, Ebbe Altberg, before he died. He was like, well, Second Life's not a game, so we're not going to put it on Steam. And I'm like, dude, it's
funny though that like you say that, because I remember when I came on, like when I first came on, I was completely naive of like, and I kept saying it's a video game. I mean, people will correct you. No, this isn't a video game.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? People were like, took offense to it. And no, this isn't a video game. It's a virtual world. It's not a video game. If you want to play video games, and there's plenty of video, like people were like, will correct you. So that tone that you said about like with Philip Linden saying kind of set the tone with a lot of people in SL feel that it's not a game.
Yeah. I mentioned that in the book. That actually came down. The head of marketing at the time sent out an email because Linden Lab, people at Linden, we were still calling it a game. And the marketing guy said, from now on, we'll not call it a game. We'll only call it a virtual world because we want to sell it to people who are not gamers. But a virtual world is a type of game, like Sims Online or other type of open-ended, sandbox worlds are virtual worlds. So it is a game. But yeah, like that really, I tried to explain to people that was a marketing move. That wasn't like, it doesn't change the fact that Second Life looks, plays, and feels like a game.
Yeah.
And so
it's the same.
But yeah,
thing.
we're.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish.
No, I think it could be a generational gap, and I don't mean age. It's like some people grew up on games and other people didn't, and so the people who did not grow up on games, they think it's for kids.
Yeah.
Or it's silly, and it's like no, it's like it's a different way of experiencing the internet,
right?
And it's a cool way. There's you can go on YouTube and that's cool, or you can play a Steam game with a bunch of people and that's cool. There's different ways of experiencing and socializing.
Well, that's like
a lot of people don't see that,
right? With wrestling, like because we broadcast shows and stuff like that, and it's always like, how can we get new users? How can we get new people to come in? How can we get people to get to get more views on YouTube and whatnot? And it's like, you have a WWE 2K game, like I don't know if you're familiar with it. Like, there's a big community for that, where people who play, yeah, it's really good. People who play the WWE game be the real characters. You have people who make up their own characters, and they have things there. It's just like, all right, let's market towards that. Let's market towards that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, let's try to get some of them users to come over to Premier Wrestler, or to come over to any wrestling in SL, for that matter, to build a community up. But it's hard because people. The one thing about this, about a game, is like a lot of people who play them games play on controllers, where SL it's kind of hard to play on the controllers, where you really have to put in, like BK was saying, like you have to put in hotkeys and everything else in order for the wrestling work. And I think that's one of the things a lot of people are not willing to do, at least for the wrestling side of it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Do y'all have a HUD that you put on that has like the wrestling moves, or
Yeah,
how do you do the fighting?
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. BK.
yeah. The way that it's set up is that we have a HUD, and inside the HUD is all the animations, and that's all the ones that with the trigger moves. It's like you doing a move. Let's say that you were going to do a pile driver on me. Your avatar would do the move to put me into the position, and then my avatar would follow through with the animation to go up in the air. You do the pile driver, sitting down on my head. I don't know how much wrestling you know, and then that's it.
Oh yeah.
And there's ways to trigger. You can type them out, or you can do what some of us do and do hotkeys, where you go through there and you can actually say, okay, well, I'm only have to push the number 1, and then my second move number 2, my second move number 3. But
Oh wow.
you still have to go in and work at it because you have to trigger it. And then sometimes the triggers don't work, and sometimes you have to think on the fly, and you have to say, okay, what move do I have? What move do I have? And you have to type something in real quick because SL glitches. There's lag,
Yeah.
the normal SL stuff.
And macros.
Yeah,
a lot of people use macros too.
Oh
Yeah.
dang.
Macro.
Yeah. They could do stuff in macros where it literally, like if you've ever watched a TV wrestling show or an event where somebody's got a chair in their hand and their opponent does something, and all of a sudden the chair ends up flying up in the air and the other person grabs it. They can actually do that with these macros where you actually see the chair going from one avatar to another, as opposed to going in and resing it, having to take it up, res it, and then pick it back up. It can all be done where you actually physically see it.
Huh.
And there's like,
Well, what if you
again, like you were saying about how like Roblox, a lot of them people make the game, like, teenagers make the games, and we're a lot of the people in this community are adults, but a lot of people in the community, especially one listed now, man, Mike, they make their own animations, and then, you know what I mean, they share them animations with people to sell.
That's
their
really
animations.
cool.
Yeah, so it's like it's a community effort, like the wrestling's community effort.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we don't have much time left, but I do have a question in here after a long introduction. And actually, from earlier there, Wagner, this is from the one we were talking about earlier, the Toasterfer.
Hey, Toaster.
So this is what he says. He says, love the first book. He says, James, while it really can produce unique experiences, my introduction to Second Life was through Machinima.
Yep.
Okay. He says SL wrestling really feels like a live performance akin to that. I spent some time involved in video making using Second Life as a platform that way. I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on using SL as a stage for producing performances like films, concerts, or anything to the similar, but keep it surreal?
Yeah, no, I read about Machinima as much as possible because I think it's a really cool use case of Second Life. It's kind of hit a barrier because of the animations. It's hard to get them flowing really well, and also lip sync. Just we don't really have lip sync. Like I've told people this when they're making Machinima, was like I would not even try to have people talk because it's too distracting. It looks like a badly dubbed foreign movie. But there's really cool Machinima. Like I blogged about her recently. Her name's Teal Aurelia. She makes amazing Second Life Machinima. What she does is she uses Second Life as a base to get the footage, and then she'll go into it with post production like Photoshop and so on, After Effects, and make these really gorgeous looking like video game quality. I'll send you links. Like she did one. I don't know about the Crackdown. It's kind of like a role play. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so she did a commercial for Crackdown. It looks badass, and so
I've seen one or two of hers on X.
Yeah, so and I tell people that I think that's the future of Second Life Machinima. There's some things that we're not going to be able to do well, like with lip sync, at least until Lab adds lip sync. They actually, I know they have it on the shelf because I knew the guy who made it, but we don't have lip sync, so don't worry about lip sync. You can do like kind of voiceover. But there's so much really cool content. Like I would love to see a renaissance of that and people making cool Machinima. Because we have kind of the most diverse virtual world. Like there's basically anything that exists that could possibly exist, we could make Machinima in. So I hope to see more of it. So if you're working on Machinima, let me know because I want to see it.
We have one more question, BK.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. Question came through CSI New York. Thought it was a game. Quickly found out. This is from Sabrina, by the way. Came through
Hey,
Okay.
Sabrina.
CSI New York, thought it was a game, quickly found out it was a whole lot more. The social aspect, how important looking at SL through the social aspect is it in society today? Meeting people in SL world and sometimes outer world.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's super important. I mean, like that's one of my rules of thumb for a virtual world when you launch is when do the first people meet in the virtual world and they actually meet in real life and then get married? Because
Go ahead, BK. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So
oh, is
I
that
want.
you?
Well, it was, but it's not the story that people normally think that it is. Okay.
Oh
So
wow,
this
no, I
this
got to hear it
confuses
now.
this confused everybody. Okay. I told you earlier I was brought into Second Life through MySpace, and
Yep.
the woman who brought me in, her name was Misty. She was one of those online non-monetary, you really don't play with real money, but she was involved in a little online poker group. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there was a friend of hers that she had also brought into Second Life, and her name was Mandy. Well, those two were really, really close. Well, Mandy knew somebody else they brought into Second Life, and you know how it works in Second Life. Oh, I brought this person in, and I brought you in, and I brought you in, and I brought you in. So we're all brother and sisters now, because we're all related. We're just going to be a family. You know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
what was really funny is out of all of them, one of them is actually still in my life. Her name is Catherine. We are still SL brother and sister, but we got close and we're actually married in real life.
Oh, awesome.
And we've been married for
Congrats.
13. We've been married for 13 years.
Damn. Okay. Awesome. Congratulations. That's
So
very
yes,
cool.
I have one of those strange relationships.
I'd love to see more of that. Like, especially because I'm sure you've seen in the news, like these dating apps are kind of all kind of crashing just because just it's such a shitty experience, especially for women. Like, what's exciting about Second Life is you get to meet people from all over the world, and you don't meet them like you don't see a bunch of like selfies and stuff. You see like their creativity. They're expressing what they really care about, and their art and their creative expression. Even like I don't want to get too corny, but like their soul. Like you get to really meet them in that basis, and then you get interested in them, and then you start getting to know them better. Then you can start exchanging real photos. So I think it's a much better way to meet people. Like I've been meaning to write this. There's a version of Tinder in Second Life. I think it's called Thunder.
Oh God.
I got to write about that, but it's sort of I don't like how it's recreating the Tinder experience, like swipe left, swipe right. I think it's more I like that people are trying to date, but I think it's more you do things socially like wrestling, and you find people with common interests and you start knowing them, and then that's how you have people like meeting people on the other side of the world. I know some people have either in Europe and they meet someone in the US or in Asia, and like that kind of stuff only happens in Second Life, and it's fucking awesome. So I'd love to have that more.
Me and BK, I mean, we never met in real life. Like he's one of my closest friends, and
Right.
and
Yeah.
I
And we
have a
talked
lot
on
of
the phone.
friends. Yeah, and like I have a lot of friends on here who are probably I would consider close friends, and I never met them, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially as compared to social media, like it just kind of gets ugly too much. But yeah, there's definitely much more positive experiences in virtual worlds like Second Life.
Okay, so we know that you have penned the 3 books already. Do you have anything coming up in the future?
Yeah, I'm working on some projects. Well, I'm helping write another book, though that'll be kind of more on design, and actually working with some AI companies. Actually, one is doing virtual worlds, another one is doing kind of helping with movie development. So I do a lot of things on the side in addition to virtual worlds. And then, I should plug my Patreon because I want to keep doing this on a part-time basis. So I launched a Patreon. So what I do is if people want to drop me a tip or if they want to pay more, I'll give them a free ad. But yeah, I'm doing that. I want to expand that because I want to stick to writing about Second Life and other virtual worlds. So yeah, if you like what you're hearing, yeah, please consider joining my Patreon. Yeah, in fact, to talk about Machino, I just put on the blog right before the video. There's a whole community of people making Machinima and VRChat and talking about fighting. They get their VR rigs and they do motion real time fight scenes in VRChat and they record them. Like if you saw Kingsman, like that movie Kingsman,
Yeah.
they recreated the gunfight in the church scene in Kingsman. They recreated it in VRChat with 11 people.
Oh wow.
They're all over the world doing this whole like amazing fight scene. They do some like melee like wrestling, but a lot of sword fighting. So yeah, that's something I just wrote about on my Patreon. So yeah,
Okay.
follow my Patreon for more. But yeah, hope to keep writing about this for basically ever.
Absolutely. Well,
Help-
before we
help
get
develop it.
before we get out of here, the gentleman that got to ask you the first question has basically invited you to come to a show, and he will personally buy your ticket to come in and actually witness
cool.
your first wrestling event. We
Yeah, I'll
have
try.
we have yeah, we know you're a very busy person. So before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to say, without plugging your book or anything, is there anything that you'd like to say
Yeah.
that you didn't get the chance to say about the metaverse, or anything that people may have stigmas about it that you might want to go ahead and put that to rest before we get out of here?
Yeah, just say the metaverse is it's really thriving, and Second Life was on the cutting edge and is in still many ways on the cutting edge. And so don't let anybody tell you different.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, Wagner, to have you. This is one
Thanks,
we've
man.
really been waiting for. This
Been
has really
fun.
been great. Please make sure to like, subscribe, make sure to follow him on X, make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
to follow him on everything. He does a lot of stuff. He talks about SL. We here at the show, we do follow him. He talks a lot of stuff about SL, so he is actually bringing awareness to our world, to the outside world that is not aware that we got a pretty cool
Get in
thing
touch.
going on.
We'll
Tell me what
his
you're
links.
doing.
We'll share his links. If you want in our Discord, share your links, your Patreon, and everything. We'll put it on YouTube.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Very cool.
absolutely. All right, we're going to get out of here, Wagner. Thank
Okay.
you once again, and maybe
man.
maybe in the future, if some stuff comes up, maybe we can get you to sit down and we can talk about some other stuff, and you can actually we can talk more about the wrestling. You seem to be interested.
Hell yeah.
In
I want to see more grappling.
that. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks,
Headbutts.
everybody. We'll see you
Good
next
guys.
time.
All right. Take care.